Eurosport's coverage of the Tour of Italy. We're looking back at yesterday's time trial. Well, Alex Zuller romped around the course and went on to take the pink jersey, knocking Kasputis back down there, who'd been the early pace setter. Kasputis wasn't going to finish in second spot though, because Sergei Gonchar romped around the course and popped into second. So the order in the time trial over 7 kilometres, Zuller ahead of Gonchar, Kasputis in third spot. So Zuller took the pink jersey of race leader, moving on to stage one, which we're bringing you live on Eurosport. The stage will take the riders up to Cugno from Nice. For Zuller, first time in the Tour of Italy, first time in the pink. What a man he is. He's been in pink for the Tour of Italy, he's been in Amarillo for the Tour of Spain, and yellow for the Tour de France. And now we're going live. Can he keep that pink jersey today as the riders here heading on in towards the finish? We've had quite a lot of action. We've got a breakaway group of 3 riders at the moment: Bettini, Mirko Gualdi and Brusagin, and they at one point had a lead of 5 minutes and 10 seconds at the top of the first big climb of the day. But you can see, looking on your screen now, this is the chase to try and pull back those 3 blokes up in front, and everybody wants to try and take the first road stage of the Tour of Italy. So right now the guns are firing to pull back our breakaway group of 3 riders. The early sprint today, the Intergiaro, after 35 kilometres, was won by Guidi. He collected 6 seconds in bonus, but that won't shake anybody at the top of the tree at the moment. But nevertheless, at the end of the race, there'll be bonuses again, first, second and third over the line. And it'll go 12 seconds to the winner, 8 seconds to second spot, and 4 seconds to fourth. Well, we saw in the Tour of France last year that the man who wins the prologue doesn't always keep the jersey on day 2. When you have someone like Cipollini who storms round and does a rather good ride in the time trial. And yesterday in the prologue time trial, Mauro Cipollini finished 12th, a superb ride for him, 19 seconds down on Alex Zuller. Now, those who are quick with arithmetic will discover that if he wins the sprint at the end of the day today, he will only get 12 seconds bonus, and so he will be still 7 seconds adrift of Alex Zuller. As we go back up with our leaders, I'll put you more on the picture about what happened yesterday when I've listed these riders for you. The backman of the pack at the moment, you can see now, Paolo Bettini. We watched him the other day in the Tour Romandie when he took a stage 4 victory. Here is Brusagin, a new pro, by the way, only turned pro last year, didn't win a damn thing at all, but he was first over the top of the big climb that we've had. And now we're looking at Mirko Gualdi Polti, who won a stage in the Tour of Italy last year and looking to try and get another one on the trot. So those are our 3 breakaway riders. The gap 5 minutes and 10 seconds at the top of the climb, but it's coming down all the way into the finish. The climb was after 89 kilometres of racing. It was the Colle di Tenda, and the actual top of the mountain was 1,300, or when they climbed over the top of the mount, 1,321 metres above sea level. The finish for the King of the Mountains competition was actually 1,279 metres above sea level. You'd ask me, well, why the hell, David, did they do that? Well, the answer was they went over the climb, took the banner, got the points for the King of the Mountains competition, then they went to a tunnel, and the tunnel lasted something like about 3 or 4 kilometres, and that went up all the way through. So the actual top of the mountain was somewhere in or just after the tunnel. So they had the King of the Mountains competition before the riders disappeared into the tunnel, and that was that. And it was a success then for the rider from the Brescia team, Brusagin, who took first spot ahead of Bettini and Gualdi in that order. Now, as you can see, the hammer's gone down good and proper to try and pull back those 3 riders and end up with a bit of sprint today. Looking at some of the teams, you might not have seen them before, but we'll try and put you in the picture of many of these. Brescia, that's quite a known team to those who are watching Eurosport's coverage of cycling. With our rider on the front, that's him there, the new pro. And we're going back down the pack now, picking up the Cantina Toller colours. We've seen those before. That's yellow and blue. Wine importers, exporters par excellence. In fact, during this Tour of Italy, I intend to speak to my good friend Luigi, who had that restaurant on the west side of London, and to get his dulcet tones telling me what his opinion of the bike racing, because he moved out now from his little restaurant into Italy and follows the sport very closely indeed. And there will be a local man on the ground, apart from the sort of usual entourage that goes with the race, because it's often interesting just to talk to the average people out there who follow the race, what they think about it, rather than so-called inverted commas experts. Well, we get it wrong, you know, so let's see what the average man in the street thinks. Back to our break. Determination written all over the heads of them, as you'd expect, for the glory of getting a stage victory. And this, which is the 81st Giro d'Italia, and I think I said in my programmes earlier on that was the first time we covered it. It's the first time, as far as I remember, we covered the Tour of Italy all the way through on Eurosport, but somehow I do remember, I think we took snips of it when we were working in London before the whole entourage moved out into Europe, and that was that. But I think we picked up the odd bit here and there, or maybe just a highlight programme of the Tour of Italy. And certainly I've had the good fortune to work on the race before with ESPN in America and with Mnet South Africa. So here we go. No, he hasn't got the hump. You saw him earlier on picking up the crash hats and sticking it on the back, and so his job is to fray that lot up to the front mast. Baronzi of the Cantino Tolla team, and he's going up to find out whoever is his best sprint at the moment. Past the Italian champion, goes straight past him like he's nailed to the tarmac, and that leaves Farazin hanging about, and there Gianni Bugno. I mean, quick look at him. Good to see Gianni Bugno. I thought at one moment he wasn't going to make the Tour of Italy, but his spirited performance in Tour Romandie, I think they felt that his man of experience, they might as well put him in the team on the way through towards Milan. He's bound to contribute a bit. If he doesn't actually get there with any success, at least he'll be able to help the rest of the team, Mappe Brickaby. I've named so far one or two teams. Let's go down the rest of the teams in the Tour this year, because I'm sure that many of you back at home were watching this for the first time on Eurosport. Many of them you will know because we see them in the other big races, but the Tour of Italy is very much, as this is the 81st, it's very much been an Italian benefit over the years, but it's becoming more international now, particularly, for instance, with Festina, who have been building up their watch business in Italy. They've ridden here before, but they've brought their big guns along now to have Alex Zuller riding in the race and to try and get him, as you've already got in the pink jersey, the publicity. Festina are also providing a special prize. Hello, you can't leave the room now, so it's getting rather exciting. I think it was your team car to come up and tell him how far it is to go. But Festina have not only put a strong team in this race, backing up Alex Zuller, but they're also sponsoring a special prize based on the performances in the 3 time trials, the prologue time trial and the 2 main road time trials, and they're the official watch people as well. What's up here now? No, it's just a general discussion of tactics and how far back the chase group is and what he's got to do. So Benton in good form after that stage success in the Tour of Romandie, and if memory serves me correctly, he also was in the action on the Henniger Turm on May the 1st, stirring it up quite a bit. They're looking down there, the red colours, Psycho Cannondale, with all eyes going to be on last year's victor, Ivan Gossi. He wears the number 1 on his back as last year's winner, and today too they're looking out for Mario Cipollini to see what he can do in the sprint at the end of it, but the rest of the teams here decide they'll try and outdistance Mario and get their own men into good position. Ballon starting to work hard in the front now. Used to be Gavis Ballon many years ago, but the Ballon team, I don't think we see much of on Eurosport. Certainly they were going well in the 4 days at Dunkirk when Gabriel Colombo got the last but 1 stage. These are the Mercato teams, the sort of yellowish colours with the Bianchi blue shorts, and their whole objective will be to look after Pantani, who's their great hope. It's such a mountainous Tour of Italy this year. I hope at some point we can get some graphics up for you showing just how mountainous it is. I mean, they've been over quite a big climb today, but the long run down, because the climb was after 89 kilometres on this stage of 159 kilometres, so it's a good run down, about 60 kilometres in towards the finish. In fact 70 to be more precise, 70 kilometres in towards the finish, and so there's every chance for the big bunch, even though the gap was 5 minutes and 10 seconds, to be narrowed. In fact, probably those 3 chaps in the front will find themselves snaffled up by this mob here, and then the sprinters will be having a jolly good lick in the lips. There's the big mountain in the background, and compared with, for instance, the Tour de France, which many of you might have been watching, the one thing about the Tour of Italy which I like is that because of the nature of the countryside and the place where the Milan finish is, we actually get some very big climbs right at the back end of the race. We've got a couple of days now where it's fairly mountainous, then it goes flattish for about 3 days, or there is a sort of uphill finish then we go back in the mountains again, then a few flat bits, then some real corking climbs in the last week. So it can be quite a fascinating race, specialised for climbers like Pantani too. ever, the Italian Tifosi, loving cycle racing. It's a big national sport here, and the gap at one time was over 5 minutes. Coming down now 1:52, and they've got this circuit to do round the town and back out again. So, well, at least they've got the glory coming through first time round. 24 kilometres yet to go. Tremendous excitement. The atmosphere always in cycle racing is tremendous in the start-finish area, but with the Italians too, it's, you know, it's their sort of sport. You imagine this has been the 81st year of the Tour of Italy, and all the history has gone on, and now we've got these three riders coming through, all from Italy. So just 24 kilometres yet to go, and that gap coming down. Well, do you think that bunch you're looking at now have knocked out something round about nearly 4 minutes since they came off the top of the climb, and that was just around about 50 kilometres ago, or less than that. So I don't think a whole lot much chance for our three riders to stay away from this big bunch that are thundering along now. So it could be down to be a sprinter's benefit. Looking down the rest of the finish list from the time trial yesterday, prologue time trial, Luc Leblanc, well, the best placed Skriniar rider, by the way, is Nicholas Axelsen, who I think we'll find do quite well up in the mountains, a Skriniar rider. Of course, they're sprint specialists, the Skriniar people, but Axelsen was going extremely well in the Tour Langkawi this year, and I'd rather rate him as a chap when we get in the mountains, probably seeing him in the top to 10, 15 or so. Here they come. Well, Riso Scotti beginning to put the pressure on the front now, looking for Baldato to get himself a stage victory. He's nicely poised, not far off the front. Oh, Baldato's been in good form recently, so let's see if they can keep him out of trouble. The trouble is, the thing is, you do too much work earlier on. They've still got 24 kilometres to go. Teams taking in turns to drive away at the front. No sign of the Psycho Cannondale people coming through yet in the red jerseys to look after Cipollini. So for Riso Scotti, they've got a whole 24 kilometres to do. I think they've gone slightly a bit too early. And according to my watch, around about 1:45 the gap between them and the leaders, there or thereabouts. Not that close on it, but certainly around about 1:40, 1:45. So I think they could still catch them. Going back then to the overall classification of prologue yesterday. Sorry we keep dapping backwards and forwards for you people just interested in a long stream of colourful riders with their nice, shiny, well-shaved and highly polished and highly massaged legs. Obviously a lot of the experts are interested in knowing who did what yesterday. Luc Leblanc, 48th, 31 seconds down for the Polti team. Could come good in the mountains. Ivan Gotti, last year's winner of the Tour of Italy, back in 49th spot, and he was 31st, 31 seconds down in 49 spots. So he lost 31 seconds on Alex Zülle yesterday. That might be quite significant, really, to lose that amount of time in only 7 kilometres. But Gotti back in 49, 31 seconds down Alex Zülle. Who else we got? Marco Pantani, not the world's greatest time trialist, in 7 kilometres, lost 39 seconds on Zülle, and he's 76 at the moment. But of course, all that will change when we get up in the mountains. Who else we got? Well, that's most of the top people I've picked out for you. Piotr Ugrimov, who's still soldiering on with 37 years of age, he was 53 seconds down. I think he's just in to help the rest of his team, actually. No great shakes of being in the top 3 places, but certainly we'll do better than that when we get up into the mountains. This long string of riders now trying to pull back our breakaway group. The gap coming down all the time. It was 5 minutes and 10 seconds when they went over the top of the Colle di Tenda with 89 kilometres to go, and now getting in towards the finish of the race. Maybe only around about 15 k's to go. You can see the big sprint teams coming up on the front. The Riso Scotti team beginning to get themselves sorted on the front here, because they've got a chance at 2 sprinters. One Nicola Minali and the other one Fabio Baldato. Both those two are very quick men indeed, and so they want to make sure they've got their lads at the front when the time comes down. The chap in the pink jersey, right in the slap in the middle of your picture, Alex Zülle, took the prologue time trial yesterday. Is the overall race leader. the first sprint we had today went to Guidi. Now, he would get 6 seconds bonus for that. If Guidi wins the sprint as well, he'd get another 12 seconds, but give him 18 seconds. But they won't topple the jersey of Alex Zülle. He survived the climb, and the people just down the road are no great threat to him. I'm sure they'll swallow him up before we get into the finish, and so Alex can keep hold of that jersey. There it is, right on his screen, bottom right-hand corner, right by the 119. In fact, he's just been hidden by it now, and so he'll be happy to ride in with this one, whilst the team manager is still trying to get all he can out of his riders here to just stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. It's all right for you shouting for your motor car, boy. You haven't been riding your bike in what has been a very hot day indeed. It's gone a little cooler now. Good afternoon. But it was 23 degrees earlier on. It's been lovely warm conditions for the riders and not too much wind either, so it's been an ideal one. A bit of background news for you, by the way. The rumour is that Gonchar, who was second yesterday in the prologue time trial, is thinking of going for the hour record next year. Now that's just one you can put in the back of your brain, you Brits who are great supporters of Bourbon, and of course Graham Aubrey, to see what Gonchar could do, because Gonchar is a fair old time trialist, and yesterday, you chaps want to know these things, he rode round this 7-kilometre course. Fairly flat it was on the Promenade des Anglais at Nice, only the third time the Tour of Italy has actually started outside Italy in the 81st Giro d'Italia. So imagine that only 3 times starting out. Gives you an idea how international they want to make it. They started in Nice in the prologue time trial. There you are, you can see the gap down the road. All you time trials, you know what a minute will be like, won't you, when you've been pushed off and they count down a long straight dual carriageway. You soon see your minute man. Well, yesterday on this 7-kilometre course, which was covered in 7 minutes and 55 seconds by Alex Zülle, Gonchar rode a gear, got it, hang on, listen to this, you time trials, 56 by 11. You non-time trials wonder what the hell I'm talking about. The sprocket he had on the outside, his chain ring, had 56 teeth on it, and at the back he had 11 teeth on there, so that made 56.11. And I worked it out in Old English language because we used to talk in inches, and I made it, if you got a 26-inch wheel, it was 132 inches, and he was travelling something like 11 yards per revolution of the crank. Just imagine that. Well, I mean, a lot of time trials, they're pushing anything, well, today they're pushing well over 100, but I remember years gone by when Tommy Simpson said to me, I don't know why these time trials push such big gears, David. We never used bigger than 96 in the Tour, and the sprinters use nothing bigger than either. So imagine now, they've gone up to 132 inches, if my arithmetic's correct. Gonchar 56 by 11 was his gearing yesterday in the 7-kilometre time trial. Mind-blowing. Blows your legs off too. There we are, good shot. They really are motoring now. Yes, Zülle staying out of trouble, moving towards the front. Right thing to do, got his people around about him, so he just wants to stay close there, make sure he doesn't get involved in the crash. Out from Cuneo, if you know this part of the world, they're heading straight down, and it's the road that goes parallel to the river Gesso and the Stura di Diamonte. It's on both sides of that. It runs quite parallel to it, and then turns around and comes back in through Boves and back in through Cuneo, going through on its way through this Borgo San Damaso. And the gap down now, you can see on the screen there, coming out all the way. Like Borgo San Maso, if we can get the cameras up and look back as well, there's the 3 valleys actually join at this particular point as such. There's the Valle Stura, which brings on one way, the other, the Valle Gesso, which is where the road Gesso does come down, and in fact, if we got the camera a bit further up, we could probably see the natural park in Argentera, and that's a very nice part of the world, away over to where the right of where they are now, on these beautiful natural parks. I'm sure that my good friend Phil Liggett would like to go there, because he's great interest in birds, and they've got some very interesting ones up there. Also, they've got marmites too, and the ibex and chamois can be found there too in the Argentera Park, and that's just a bit off from here. It's a nice Lovely meadows around there, and amongst the bird life, Phil, well, they've got citral finches too, and they've got alpine accentus, the ptarmigan as well is out there, and guess the griffin vulture. Well, I hope they don't grab them. No, well, there's the beautiful mountain in the background. So going back down one of these valleys I was talking to you about, nice 3 valleys up here. No time to hang about and look at the scene. They really are motoring now, aren't they? They know that gap coming down over 5 minutes at one time, that unless they get the hammer down, they're going to get really well and truly caught. So research Scotty and TVM. Now that's Bo Larson driving on the front there at the moment and pulling out quite a number of itinerant people there, and hang on, it's coming down. Put it back again. Let's have another look. Gone. But Bo Larson's going in there too for TVM. TVM have got their sprinters with them, because Bo Larson doesn't think about either, and we've mentioned Uchikov already can go for rather well, but of course I think their whole interest it would be in Jerome Blyleven's, who'll be looking for a stage victory today. So these 3 Italians have really got to, they pull the proverbial, as they say, because otherwise the sprinters will come at them very quickly indeed. And the TVM Farm Freaks team, we have that look of that Bo Larson in the national colours of Denmark further back in the main field. They haven't got any Italian in the field at all. Most of these riders have got the obligatory Italians riding for them. The only other team without any Italians riding for them are the Kelme Costa Blanca team, which is Spanish bar a couple of Colombians, and the Festina Lotus teams just have Vladimir Belli riding with them, so he's just one Italian there, but some of the other teams are pretty well heavily Italians wall to wall. The Vitalia Seguros of Spain, as you might expect, they've only got a couple of Italians in the team anyway, but so the spectators along there have got plenty to cheer on their way through. They've got 3 Italians out in front now, so nationalistic they might be, with every reason to be so with those 3 men away, but back in that pack there's some people who could change the things. Mauro Cipollini certainly will be likely to get the sprint, get the first of the what we call the flattish stages under his belt. There are only about 3 or 4 flat stages this year. He was complaining that the tour has been made for the climbers, and certainly people like Pantani will be licking their lips when we get the mountains further on. Back again with the Riso Scotti team, certainly trying very hard on the front at the moment. And there they are. This is the job of the domestiques. The chaps are going to ride themselves into oblivion in the next 2 weeks. Chaps you never see up there on the rostrum collecting the flowers, unless sometimes they're allowed a bit of freedom. But very often they just have to ride themselves into the ground and then be happy when their teammates get the awards subsequently. Can't think why the Rosemary Amica Chips rider, the blue and yellow, was riding so hard. Claudio Chiappucci's in the squad, but I wouldn't think amongst the teams they've got anybody capable of winning the sprint. Although, of course, said he, don't forget that fellow Towler. Now that's interesting. The Rosemary team in the blue and yellow colours, that fellow Tony Towler is 14 seconds adrift of Alex Zülle, and there's 12 seconds to go at the end for the man who wins the sprint, so he won't quite get that one. Gonchar for Contino Toller. Now I don't think he's the world's greatest sprinter, Gonchar, but Zula's got to keep him out of the frame. And Kaspuris from Casino. Now he's quite a useful sprinter, but he's 10 seconds adrift of Alex Zülle. So if Arturas Kaspuris could in fact pop past everybody and get the stage victory, then he might be in with a shout for the jersey. But I don't think the Casino might be that good to get Kaspuris in with a victory like that. We shall have to wait and see. Because I can't, I mean, Kaspuris goes very quickly, but will he be as fast as people like Minali, Baldato, Ado of the Kelme team, Cipollini from Psycho, Cannondale, Spruch for the Mappe Brickaby team? There's quite a few quick men in this group. And Marcel Vus for Festina, well, he wins more races than most other people. He wins them in, I won't be rude enough to say in second level races, but Marcel's always up there winning plenty of races, and I think he could be in with a shout today as well, if only just to pinch the points off somebody, because he rides for Festina to make sure that Zülle doesn't lose that jersey. Back then with our 3 leaders. So whilst we're getting towards the finish, 1 or 2 letters have popped up for me back in Great Britain. I only sort of had time to nip in and get a fresh pair of underpants and some clean socks virtually. No, I'm exaggerating, but there wasn't much chance when I got back after the Tour Romandie to do much more than pay the few bills and clear my desk and go out on an early birthday celebration. But thanks to Mike Smart for the birthday card. On the 20th of May, I shall read out what you wrote and everything else to all and sundry, but haven't discovered that Mr. Jalabert now has a new face. That's mine on the card. Thank you much indeed, it turned up. And also thanks from Pat Liddy in Dublin, Ireland, who sent me an interesting book called Walking Dublin. Pat, I shall read it when I get back. I haven't had a catch stand in hell of reading it so far. We're getting close to finish now, so I won't go on talk any more about the list. There are a few here during the next 3 weeks, so I shall chat to you people back at home. Thanks for your comments, and thanks also to Cycling for building up the Eurosport's coverage. And the editor, Robert Garbert, mentioned the fact that we were doing it, and you could listen to it rather than listening to some garbled German commentary, which you might find on an obscure station somewhere with a satellite at about midnight. So we will be going through all the way towards the end of the tour. I look forward to joining me during the next 3 weeks. But of course, who's going to get the victory? Who's going to get the stage? We'll have to wait and see, because these three might just about stay away yet. We're back with the chasing pack at the moment. Our three leaders just down the road, hanging on for grim death on this, the first stage of the Tour of Italy, the 81st Giro, going from Nice to Cuneo, coming today 159 kilometres all. There are our three leaders, Paolo Bertini of the ASICS CGA team, Mirko Gualdi of Polte team, and the other fellow there, Bruzigin of the Brescia squad. They might get swallowed up yet. We're inside 9 kilometres to go. They've got them in sight right now, and their moment of glory might be over and done with after that break, which took them over the top of the first climb of the day. In fact, the only climb of the day, 5 minutes 10 seconds ahead of the main pack. And looking back down there through the lights, the main pack now will be trying to just narrow that gap down and get them and snap them up at the finish of it all. So the stage today, 159 kilometres, that's 99 miles in all. The actual race this year will be covering a total of 3,830 kilometres. They're going to average 173 kilometres each day. That's total distance in UK miles at 2,394 miles. Will this man have the pink jersey when we get to the end of the three races? Zuller, slap there on your screen, keeping out of trouble, staying near the front. Marcel Wust, the right-hand side, he with the beard, looking for a stage victory. Also keeping his eye on Zuller, make sure he doesn't get in trouble too. So 2,394 miles, that's 108 miles a day average speed for these next 3 weeks for these riders in the 81st Tour of Italy. This stage one, yesterday's prologue time trial being won by Zuller, gave him the pink jersey, but who's going to get today's stage? Look at the Psycho team turning up. Psycho Callendale in the red jersey, begin to move forward now for their top sprinter. Will Cipollini get a victory? He's only had a couple of minor victories so far this year, and he's been a bit relaxed about it, saying no problem, no problem. But this will be the showdown at the OK Corral. If he doesn't come out with all his guns firing, if the big Lion King doesn't roar and get the victory, a few people in Italy might be saying, oh, well, what's going on with the big boy? We'll have to wait and see, though. Will they catch these three? You can see by the helicopter over the top of our main group. It's coming down all the time. Travelling now at around about 30-35 miles an hour, this pack. Just running at about 8 to 9 tenths of speed. You've seen the Mappa begin to move up as well now, so they're running to get their man in contention. Zbigniew Spluch of Poland, although he's 32 years of age, he's got a lot of sprinting experience. Determination of these three riders to stay away. Just there you see on your screen. Oh, they're going to get them. Surely this is the moment they're going to get snaffled up. Here they come. Just imagine that. You've been out all day long. The race went over a very tough climb to begin with, and both Minali and Cipollini were struggling. Then they got back, and then they came up that big climb, and they thought they'd done enough. They were 5 minutes 10 seconds ahead, but look, here comes the steamroller, flattens them against the curb. And now they've got to find a spot to get in. There's no chance they've got of finding a gap in that little lot now. And in fact, they won't have anything left in the sprint anyway. They've done their job. They've collected points in the Kingdom Mountains competition. Their day will come when we go on again tomorrow. We've got another big stinking climb ahead of them tomorrow, the 1,381 metre high Colle del Cassato. And then over another one, the Col de San Bernardo, before we go on down to finish Impera. It's a bit of a downhill run again tomorrow, so the mountain goats will have to go early to keep in with the points on the King of Man's competition. But then it could all come back together again for another sprint finish at the end of it. Sheer speed, the absolute ability of these riders to hold the wheel, keep the gaps down. We see how the TVM riders are dropping in. So TVM and the Balan team at the moment setting the pace at the front. They may be doing all this work for nothing because Blylemans is their top sprinter. He could be led out by Uchikov. They've got a lovely double hit there. And you see there a Calcaterra, number 4, going through for the Psycho Cannondale team. Each of the top sprinters usually has a lead-out man. In fact, Martinello it was, must have been, what, 3 years ago when the Tour of Italy started in Greece of all places, in Athens. He's only been outside Italy 3 times. Went to Athens to celebrate the umpteenth year of the Olympics, and it started in Athens. There was some pretty grossy roads, the potholes and goodness knows what else, and the riders didn't like it at all. And if memory serves me correct, Martinello was supposed to be leading out Cipollini, managed to snaffle the stage and snaffle the points and took the pink jersey too as well. That might have been where the rot set in between Martinello and Cipollini. But somewhat better roads today. That's just about 5 minutes maximum left now. So whatever you're going to do, if you're mowing the lawn, I suggest, if your husband's out there, say, come on in, lad, it's time to watch the sprint of the bike race. Only about 5 minutes. Get him a cup of tea ready, quick. And who are you going to pick then? Well, I mentioned Cipollini ad nauseum. We also know for the Risso Scotti team, Fabio Baldato's going well. The TV Farm Freaks, Blylemans could be in there with a shout. Marcel Wuss for Festina. Kelmy Rider, Ada, well, he finds his own way through. He doesn't get much shelter from the lads in green. And for the Balan team, they seem to be working quite well at the moment. Gabriel Colombo might be their man with a shout. Remember, he's won the Balan San Remo a couple of years ago, but he clopped off and left a little group for that one. Oh yes, the TVM rider's suddenly out of steam, so he's gone straight back now. The sprinters will be working around, watching each other. This is the bit, this is where it really starts to sizzle. The nerves, you imagine what it's like being sat down the midst of there if you're a sprinter, making sure you're not going to get closed out. Look at the big wadge of Psycho Cannondale riders on the right-hand side of your screen. Cipollini wears a number 2 on his back, by the way. Oh no, Ado's moved through. See a chap in green pants just gone through. I said he almost to find his own way through. He's sneakily come up now and he's looking for a wheel. I think he's decided that Baldato might be the wheel to go for. That's a fellow in the green pants now for the Kelme Costa Blanca Eurosport team. He's sat in there. Look, he's just got quickly onto a wheel. Nice little move, young man. In fact, no, it's Martin. It's Pedro Martin. It isn't Ado. It's Martin has made it through. Well, he did quite a decent ride a bit back. I must have to try and rack my memory on that one. But so Ado and Martin firing a double-barreled shotgun on this one because Martin has slipped his way through, not Ado. Still Balan bashing away on this one. Well, they can't get Gonchenko. I suppose they got Gonchenko 1 second down on Zula. Are they hoping that Gonchenko can just slip the net and get in the bonuses and take the jersey? I mean, Gonchenko, I've never seen him sprint before. He must have done such a thing, but you can never give up for lost that they might well fire him off. And if he can just get away and get a place in the top 3, then he could pinch that jersey off Alex Zula. This is going to be quite interesting. So Gonchenko wears number 34 on his back. No 1-2 getting tail off now. This is it. A bit of a drag going towards the finish. You can see now they're having to stretch the legs somewhat. They've got these sweeping bends when they get in towards the finish as well, so you won't get too many riders side by side at this particular point. Here we go. Ups, down, down. As I say, here we go. There they go. Always a problem. Bank your bike over too far and you've lost one. That's upset a few people. The upper cart now as well have truly been shaken. Very quick come out the left-hand side. Oh, well, this I think is one of our chaps has fallen off and come a box of tricks. That was one of Smetanine, I think, from Vitalicio Seguros. Now, Smetanine is also quite a useful sprinter. I haven't mentioned him, but he was up there nicely placed. One of the best sprinters from the Vitalicio team, and so he's now out of contention. Has slipped the net. Cantino Toll, I think it is, slipped the net, and Bresciolav slipped the net. Unlucky 13, perhaps to some Giacomelli of Amore Vita started to go to 43. This is going now very quickly. So it's Piccoli from Bresciolav. Piccoli from Bresciolav has opened a bit of a gap, and surely they're not going to let him slip away like that. No, Psycho Canada go very quickly. He came thundering up from way back, did Piccoli, and he's still in the lead at the moment, Piccoli. And he's going very quickly indeed, and he's going to take some catching it, twists and turns round the bends. But has he gone too soon? As Psycho start to wind it up for Cipollini, Psycho Canada begin to move for this one now. Baldato still 4th or 5th back to the front. Pascal Richard not far away. In fact, Cipollini's way off the pace. Cipollini about 10th back, and so Piccoli might still be able to make it. Really striving half the line now. Has he gone just at the right time? The Breslau riders hanging on for grim death on the right-hand side now, and the cavalry start to charge left-hand side with Baldato nicely placed about 3rd or 4th in the back, and Martin for the Camry team tries to come through. Martin McCamey, but no, Piccoli gets it on the line. Amazing bit of action from Piccoli just to take that one there on the line. Well, that was an opportunist piece of action. He came a long way back. I saw this little blue figure start to drive hard, and he drove hard at the finish, and he chose just the time to go. The rest of the sprinters are watching each other, and they never saw him go. So Piccoli from Bresciolav got that stage victory. I'm pretty sure that's who it was. We'll wait for confirmation of that. And there he is on your screen, Mariano Piccoli of the Bresciolav team. Got the victory, and the sprinters will rue the fact that they let that one go, as the Bresciolav rider moving through the crowd now got the first stage victory in the 1998 Tour of Italy. Down in the melee is the victor of the stage today, Piccoli, and that was superbly well judged effort on his part to go clear of the main pack, and all the sprinters are watching each other. I think that crash might have slowed a few of them down, but no doubt about it, when he took off they all looked the wrong way, and he rode up almost as if he was on his own little private ride into it. On the right hand side of the screen, a pity we didn't go back on our overview to see him with about a kilometre to go. So Baldato next then switches across, but leaves it far too late. Cipollini was somewhere in the midst of that pack. He looks like he's gone out of steam too, so the Lion King isn't roaring very much right now, so he's not going to get that one. So there we are, a victory then for the young lad from Brescia Liquigas, Mariano Piccoli, taking that one. The pink jersey will stay on the shoulders of Zula, I'm sure, because I couldn't see the Balan jersey of Gonchenkov in that 2nd or 3rd spot. So me, David Duffield, it's time to say goodbye. I look forward to company tomorrow for stage 2 of the Tour of Italy. Until then, arrivederci. Good afternoon to you all, and we're looking now at the start of the race this morning at Alba on this stage 2 of the Tour of Italy, the second stage covering 162 kilometres in all. The riders enjoying a very summery day, beautiful conditions yet again for bike racing, and an interesting course lying ahead of them with 2 climbs, the first one coming after 100 kilometres and the last one just 5k's to finish. But that's quite a small one at the end, the Capo Berta. If you've watched our coverage on Eurosport, the Land San Remo, you might remember the name because that's on the course running into Imperia, which is just right alongside the sea. Beautiful conditions not only for bike racing but for enjoying a trip out in your boat or lying on the beach, because now really the summer seems to have hit all across Europe, and very pleasant conditions indeed it is too. They use a controlled start before the race gets underway proper. As in all the bike races, they go outside the town before the flag is waved. It gives the people a chance to have a good look at the competitors. They work their way from the start this morning at Via Vavario, and they went round, of course, a little route through the Corsa di Matoti, and then down along through the Corsa Piave, through the Corsa Europa, aptly named, I think, Corsa Europa, before they started the race proper. And that was only just a few kilometres of wandering through the town. Everybody here seems to be in good spirits. One man not in good spirits. We've lost one rider because yesterday Rossato from the Scrigno Gain team, he unfortunately finished way outside the time limit. He's over half an hour down on the rest of the field, and so he's been now chucked out of the race for being outside the time limit. But I don't think he'd have survived today either, because he's got the tummy troubles, the galloping two steps, which is not the ideal thing when you're going to ride a bike all the way around Italy for 3 weeks. So we've lost one man already. Remember, they're going to cover then 3,830 kilometres. That's an average of 173 kilometres in English money. As the Euro's coming along, I suppose we might as well stick to miles anyway. 2,394 miles they're going to cover, and they'll average 108 miles per day. We're now back looking out across the sea. That was a quick look up at the start of the race today, and they were starting up at Albi and coming on down. Albi, a very nice little part of the world, by the way. It's an ancient Roman city, a place called Alba Pompeii. We're now going to much more modern parts of the world, but it was better. We didn't have a chance, by the way, to show you the bars and the restaurants and that little shop then, because it actually is a place where they have an annual truffle fair in the autumn, because it's well known for its white truffles, and beautiful wine up in Alba too, called Barola, with one called the Barbaresco and one called Barbara. And we had a look, I think, at the towers picked up there on your cameras, the churches and the beautiful Gothic cathedral of Duomo San Lorenzo. So that was, there we are now with our rankings of the positions. We're just got it on your screen now of the situation which was there at they started this morning. They're down, you can see all the numbers down 11 to 20. The man Cipollini in 13th spot, 19 seconds. Disappointment yesterday, I think, for him, because I was looking for him to try and challenge in the sprint to gain some seconds, but he didn't do so at all. Tonkov there in 21st spot, second in this race 2 years last year, and the winner the year before that. Just close to him, Gianni Bugno of the Mappe team will be there to aid Pavel Tonkov in trying to win this race. Further on down, people like Ralph Yarman's been in good form now, riding, of course, for the Casino team that have now scored 39 victories as at Sunday. They had tremendous performance during the Tour of the Asturias, was it? Just have to check with you what it was, but they managed to knock out so many successes that they popped themselves up now to 39 victories, the Casino squad. And looking further down the list there, nice to see young White in 32nd spot. I haven't had a chance to check out whether he was the fellow that was racing in the Tour Langkawi early on this year, but he rides for the Amore Vita team, and the only what I call true English-speaking rider in the race this year. The teams like La Française de Jeu, which has Max Chiandri, are not riding this race, so we haven't got him. The GAN team with Chris Bourbon, they're not riding in the Tour of Italy, so we haven't got him either. So a bit short of what I call English-speaking riders taking part in this one. Of course, there's the Festina team that are riding so strongly at the moment, with Alex Zuller wearing the leader's jersey. We've not got young Neil Stevens riding in the Festina squad in the Tour this time. He's going to ride the Pro Tour Great Britain, and he'll be heading up a very strong Festina team in that one. I'll try and update you on the Pro Tour back in Great Britain as things go on. You always catch it out at home, but I'll try also to put what I can out on air as we now go to the first break of the day. Stay with us on Eurosport, and we're going to pick up some action as soon as we can do. Don't go away. Looks like our Calma Costa Blanca Eurosport rider's got that one. So we're jumping about a bit here. I'll do the best to stay with it if I can do, but they've certainly split the field now, and it looks in devastation. Now, the big group's coming up very quickly indeed, so there's not much chance then for... that was Gonzalez, Chepe Gonzalez, taking that one just ahead of the main pack. And Chepe Gonzalez, I mentioned it before, and I've just referred to it again. He's the chap, the Colombian fellow who races for every Premi can do, because he's got a big family to support, because back in Colombia, He lives with, or he used to live, I haven't found if he's changed at all, but Chepi Gonzalez, who won a stage in the Tour de France in 1996, he lives with his mother, 5 sisters, a wife and daughter. Just imagine that, living with your mother, 5 sisters, a wife and daughter. And that was a bit back. It might have changed slightly since then, but he won the King of the Mountains last year in the Tour. He did, Chepi Gonzalez, and already you see he went over the top of that one to get himself some points. And so Chepi Gonzalez of the Kelme team now collecting himself some points again towards the competition. And last year in the King of the Mountains competition, the fellow who won yesterday, Piccoli, he was second in the race yesterday on the King of the Mountains. So that showed us yesterday too they could sprint very well indeed, because he managed to get the stage victory and surprised quite a few people. But the biggest thing that happened yesterday, as we still go back to our beautiful view of the sea and the bay. Can't you find any ladies on the beach, please? The other thing that happened yesterday was when they came across the line, we went on a bit sharpish, so I couldn't give you the whole result, but the overall position now, which you saw on the screen earlier on, with Alex Zülle leading the Tour of Italy by 1 second from Gonjar Kasputis in 3rd spot. The significant thing is Michel Bartoli, who went into this race being the lead on the World Cup Series. Michel Bartoli, by the way, that's one of his teammates down there, number 22. He, in fact, is number 21 at the bottom. That's Paolo Bettini there. We saw him have a go yesterday, try and stay away, and they snaffled him up right towards the end of the race. Well, he's gone again with Chepi Gonzalez here, but not much between him and the main field. But yesterday, his teammate from the ASICS CGA team, Michel Bartoli, sprinted him that finish and popped up there in 2nd spot, getting himself some extra time bonuses as well. So he got 8 seconds bonus yesterday, and Piccoli taking the stage victory ahead of Bartoli, and Fabrizio Guidi was in 3rd spot. We had to go off air a bit quickly, and I couldn't give you the whole rundown on the result yesterday. The other which, when they were going in to the finish yesterday, I said that I spotted the Kelme rider and thought it was Ado, and then said no, it was Martin. Well, they switched places. It was Martin, because Ado popped up in 4th spot yesterday. So the end result, they come off the top of this mountain here, the Col San Bernardo, 957 metres above sea level. The result then again, I'll give you the top 10 yesterday if you saw the sprint finish and you didn't pick them up in your newspaper this morning. As we watch Chepi Gonzalez going down with Bettini just behind him and the rest of the crowd coming after him. Piccoli stage victory yesterday ahead of Bartoli. Fabrizio Guidi of the Polti team was in 3rd spot. Ado of Kelme was in 4th, the Kelme Costa Blanca ride taking 4th spot. In 5th spot, the Riso Scotti MG Magnifico team, that was Minali, who sprinted into 5th spot. And Mauro Cipollini, he moved up a little bit. I said he was sulking around about 9th or 10th. They came in with 500 metres to go. Well, he moved up a bit, but only to 6th spot. So Mauro Cipollini of the Cycle Cannondale team finished in 6th spot yesterday. Andrea Leoni of the Balan squad was 7th, and in 8th spot we had Francesco Arazzi of the Rosemary Amica Chips team. 9th spot was Fabio Baldato, who also looked good at one particular point. He was in 9th spot for the Riso Scotti team, and then in 10th spot Fabiano Fontanelli for the Mercatonuna Bianchi team. It's going to come up, by the way, so that'll be at a place called Alassio after 130 kilometres being covered. They're now covered, getting on towards 110, I suppose, so we've not got far to go before the sprint at Alassio, the Intergiro. And there's an Intergiro competition in itself, and let me try and explain this one. Now, sit down, take a deep breath, and listen. Each day, there's an Intergiro sprint, which, like yesterday, was in, the first 35 kilometres, I suppose. Today, it'll be after 136 kilometres. And they timed all the riders across the line at the end of the Intergiro as if it was the end of the stage. Got it? So yesterday we had technically a stage finish after 35 kilometres, and so they give the time from the start to that particular point, and then they get time bonuses, 4 time bonuses starting at 30 seconds and going backwards. And that Intergiro competition is a separate one totally from the overall classification, as you would imagine. But just to complicate things, apart from its own little time bonuses of 30 seconds for the first and so on down to the 4th place, they do give, for the overall, that's when they get into the finish, this time at Impero, they do give also bonuses of 6 seconds, 4 seconds and 2 seconds. Now, we're much interested today in who's going to see if they can take the pink jersey off Alex Zülle. So when we see them go through the Intergiro, provided the pictures come on in time, we shall pick up the first, second and third. And there, Michel Bartoli, with his superb sprinting ability, we're looking to try and pick up 6 seconds, if he can do that. And then at the end of it all, if he gets 12 seconds for the victory at the end of it, 18 seconds, will push him into the pink jersey. Michel Bartoli had said very clearly to all and sundry that he wanted to take the pink jersey in the Tour of Italy this year, and that was his aim. So let's see if he's going to do it when we get into the finish at Impero. Impero, lovely part of the world, by the way. It divides the Riviera along here from the flowers and the other side, the olives, because the river comes down here. One side, all the flowers, that's to the San Remo side, and the other way, it's where all the olives come from. And if you are a person who cooks in olive oil, and I know quite a lot of people do now, and think after their good health, that they reckon the olive oil from Liguria is probably the best of olive oil you can possibly get. So, well, you can make your mind up when you're shopping out for it, but a lot of people do have olive oil. I'm no doubt the Spanish will say no, the Spanish olive oil is equally as good, if not better, but it's generally taken by the experts that the olive oil from the Liguria area is probably the best you can get. Right, we're back with the race. There we are, there's a pink jersey. Alex Zülle with his teammates on the front, towing this thing along. Oscar Kamazin just up in front of him, the Swiss champion. Didn't do quite as well as people hoped, I think, in the prologue time trial, but still sitting in there right behind. You can see those CGA stickers on the back of those jerseys. I don't know how good your set is, but my monitors, as usual, are pretty grotty. But certainly ASIC CGA are on the front, 3 of them, because I said earlier on, it looks to me as if when we get down to the sprint for the Intergiro at Alassio, that is where Mr. Bartoli will try and take the 6 vital seconds and pinch the pink jersey when we get into the finish. Tony Rominger was saying at the start of the Tour of Italy, after Zülle got the jersey on the prologue on the first day, he was saying to Alex, look, you know, just ease back a bit, don't defend it now. If you keep it, fine. If you don't blow a gasket trying to defend it all the way through, because that's exactly what Tony Rominger did. I think it was 1955 when Rominger took the jersey from start to finish, and he had to follow every attack, move with everything all the way through, and then he busted up trying to do it. And I think he's saying, look, you've got sufficient capability, there he is, Alex Zülle, in the time trials, which are at the back end of the race on this occasion, 2 of them, to stay in contention, and don't let it worry you if you lose that jersey early on during the race. But I think, well, obviously there's more money at stake when you take the jersey. The prestige too, and Festina are in this one to really come out on tops and do well in it. So I think that Alex will do what he can to keep the jersey, but let's hope he doesn't bust a gut doing it. The time trials we've got coming up, the last one is actually on the last but one day. It's a 34-kilometre time trial, Mendrisio to Lugano in Switzerland. So you can imagine if Zülle can keep the jersey or be in contention and finally get it on that day, because the next day from Lugano to Milano there's only one small little conch on the way through, so it's not too difficult at all. But the one into Lugano could well be the one that really tops the thing off. So we'll have to wait and see if that's what's going to happen on that particular part, because the other one is up near Trieste on the 31st of May, and at Trieste will be a time trial. That's going to be some 40 kilometres, and that you see that late in the race, because after Trieste there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another 5 stages before we get the next time trial. So unlike, say, the Tour de France, where often you get individual time trial within the first 7 days or so, we've got to go right the way through from we started on the 15th, no, sorry, 16th. We've got to go through something from the 16th of May to 31st of May before we get the first of time trials, and then the last one is on the last but one day. So it's going to be very much in the balance for Zülle and his team to stay in contention in the mountains, when someone like Pantani, who, despite the problems that he had, because he's hardly raced in the last few weeks, he's been on antibiotics. Poor Pantani did what he looked upon as being a very respectable time trial in the prologue and stayed close to some of the people that will be contenders for the crown of the mountains. Isn't this gorgeous here, hey? I'm sorry we're in the picture. Oh, come on, let's get it right. Okay, let us, I'll probably try and dig one out later on during the week, because they're piled up all over the place. I only dashed home for a few days and hardly had time to get everything before coming back out for this event itself. But people who say, well, they love to put their feet up and watch the cycle racing, not only because of the exploits of the ride, but look at this scenery. It's a chance to see things. I mean, Judith Chalmers and the travel shows, and what's the swimming lady who do their travel shows, they do some lovely things, don't they? But they don't always give you the nice views like that. Look at that. There you are. See how they'll go right the way down that mountain. They've come up just a climb the other side, about equally the same. You've got to take your health, these chaps, haven't you? And this, by the way, is only day 2 of the race, and we start out with a bang. We had a mountain yesterday, we've got another one today. They've just come over the top of it. They're heading on down towards the coast. We'll have a little blip running on in towards the finish of the Capa Berta. It's only 130 metres above sea level, but they actually will be down at the Marina di Andorra, just 6 metres above sea level, so if there's a high tide they might get washed away. But we're going to come up from 6 metres above sea level to 130 of the Capa Berta, and that will be right alongside the sea. But this is gorgeous, isn't it? It's the sort of place where if I made a few bob, I wouldn't mind going, pulling up stumps and going and living somewhere up in the mountains, not far from the sea, south facing, so the sun gets into my house. It's a long way to the supermarket, isn't it? Gorgeous. These poor chaps, locked on their bikes, earning a living, they have no chance, do they, to see what we see. Going back to the travel programme, not knocking them, they do a wonderful job telling people about various places to go on holiday, and I find them quite fascinating too, but they don't often have helicopters that go screaming up into the sky. They can pick up some sort of stock film from the island they're going to, maybe the coastal resort, but we have a wonderful chance because the helicopters are working with the motorcycles to pick up pictures that you don't normally see. There are still ASICs on the front. You can see the sun beating down on the backs of the roads, that lovely shadows being thrown on the roads. It's been quite warm today, around about 24 degrees. Of course, down the coast it's going to be equally as hot, if not hotter, away from the wind. Well, the wind is blowing off the sea, and they're heading due south. In fact, let me tell you, I forgot at the start of the programme, I must remember to do this, slap of wrist, that I know some of you get your maps out, and if you're going to stay with us during the rest of these 3 weeks, why don't you nip down to your local newsagents or wherever they sell maps and get yourself a map, and I'll try each day to tell you where we're going to. You can follow it down. We actually started today at this place, Alba, and Alba is up. If you can find a Turin on your map, and you can find that dead easy, go down south-southeast. Don't go completely south, because the south is the road called the E717. The road E717 goes out of Turin, heading due south towards the coast. Well, this little town, or town of Alba that we started, is a bit off on your map to your right. If you look over to the right, it's probably about 60 kilometres south of Turin. And then once you've got that, you can more or less draw a line all the way due south down there towards the coast. It just goes in and out a bit to a place called Mondovì. But we've just come through the top of the climb. I don't think you'll find Garezzo on your map, but you might just do so, because we're heading in towards a place called Albenga. If you can find that Rivera de Ponente on your map, that beautiful stretch of sea, on the left-hand side you'll find Nice, and if you follow it along there, then you'll see San Remo, then you go up there to Albenga, then you go on further to Savannah and up that way. That long stretch of coast there, you'll find Albenga. Well, we're heading down from Alba almost in a straight south-southeasterly direction towards Albenga, and you can spot that on your map. Only small villages we're going through at the moment, but we'll hit Albenga, then we've got to turn onto the road, take us through Lazio, through Andorra, through Diano Marina into Imperia, and that's the route on your map if you can find it. And if you've watched the tour of Milan-San Remo, then that little bit from Albenga in towards Imperia, we use that on the Milan-San Remo, so your map might be marked already if you've got it. Good. Back with our 3 leaders. I was talking about the internet that pumps out information about the Tour of Italy. There are 2 sorts of internet that I'll try and tell you about. One where you can get the results of, and it's from the Gazzetta dello Sport online. La Gazzetta dello Sport are the promoters, the newspaper, rather like L'Equipe in France, who sponsor this race. Good look up here at Chepe Gonzalez, by the way, riding his heart out. I say with all that female family support, I'm not surprised. And then going through. A quick look then at Paolo Bettini, who was away in that breakaway group yesterday for an awful long time before he got snaffled up. And they've been joined by the rider Profetti, number 19 from the Amore Vita team. 2 Italians you can see there, and Gonzalez from Colombia. But they're hanging on by a thin thread at the moment. The biggest lead we were notified was about a minute. That was the 2 riders here, Bettini on the left, and then now in the middle in the green shorts, Chepe Gonzalez. And this fellow jumped across after he went over the top of the climb, where Chepe Gonzalez got the King of the Mountains climb and picked himself up the points. But going back then to the internet, if you're ready for it, you have the usual sort of HTTP slash thing. That's always there anyway, isn't it? So here we go for you internet experts. Against www, you know that, don't you? www dot Gazzetta, GAZZETTA, Gazzetta dot it, that's with IT, slash Gazzetta slash Giro, Giro, hyphen Italia, ITALIA, slash. Then you can have classifiche, and you can do what you like because it'll also have the stage finish as well. But the classification, everybody want to pick it up then, is classifiche, rosa, HTM, and so on. But obviously, once you get onto your internet, start whizzing along and picking out what there is, you'll be able to get a lot more things about the Giro d'Italia off the internet just by starting out with www.gazzetta Giro Italia, and there it'll be. There they come. Well, it's all over now. I think Bettini would have been told by his team manager to ease it back a bit off the top of that climb, because really they could do with his help with the ASICS CGA team, whose objective now must be to get their specialist in the sprinting to try and take over the overall race lead by getting the into Giro. So Michel Bartoli will now have somebody else to help him on the way. And still ASICS CGA on the front. Off the top of the climb, they'd covered 100 kilometres. The actual sprint into Giro, 136 kilometres. And they're coming down all the way. Alessio, as I said earlier, was 6 metres above sea level. They come off from 957 metres above sea level. So it's a complete long descent of 951 metres. You can multiply it by 3 and a bit to make it into feet, because we measure mountains in feet in England, don't we? So they've come down something like about nearly 3,000 feet of altitude, and it's downhill all the way. When they get to Lecca, it flattens out, and Albenga, but the first descent down there, they've got about 23 kilometres of very, very fast descending indeed. Going back to fast descending or fast riding, I was doing some sums after the time trial, the prologue time trials. I was watching this a lot, because nothing much going to happen, by the way, unless they fall off. Don't have black cats, because Pantani in the Tour, gosh, was it last year, where this black cat ran out and fetched him off. That was not good luck for him, whatever it was. Unless they fall off, nothing much is going to happen now. The time of Alex Zuller for the 7 kilometres. Now, it could be 7 and a bit kilometres, it could be 6 and a bit. I don't know exactly how accurate the measurement was, but if you think about his time was 7 minutes and 55 seconds for that 7 kilometres, then it just shows you what sort of speed he was going at, because it ran about 1 minute 8 seconds, was sort of inside 1 minute 8 seconds per kilometre, I remember some time ago when a fellow called Trevor Gadd broke the British kilometre record standing start in 1 minute 8 seconds, and we thought that was absolutely outstanding. But here we are, Zuller from a standing start not only did 1:8, he did it consecutively for the next 6 kilometres as well. It just shows you the speed at which he went round. An average speed, by the way, 53.053 kilometres per hour, which is probably the second fastest prologue time trial that's ever been had in ever been experienced in one of the big tours. Looking here, there's Cipollini in the centre of this little, well, towards the tail end of the Psycho Cannondale squad. Must start to do something today, surely, because Cipollini hasn't really shown much in the season so far. A couple of modest success he's had so far. And then number 21, that's the fellow they're keeping the eyes on. That's Michel Bartoli, lying 4th overall. And then you can see the Psycho Cannondale. There is the big number 2 on the back of Cipollini. And we'll suddenly nip down and have a close-up of this gentleman's bicycle, because the ASICS boys are going here quite hard. ASICS CGA driving this one along now. This is typical tactics. At this sort of speed, nobody can come past. So it's between 2 people at the moment. Cipollini, well, he, after that very good time trial, only finished what it was 8th place yesterday. Didn't get himself any points on the, or any time bonuses. So he's now in what, 13th spot overall, 19 seconds down. So for Cipollini, if he got the what's going on now? Oh, just taking bottles. If Cipollini got both the Inter-Giro and the finishing sprint, he wouldn't take the jersey. It's got to be Bartoli in with a shout for this one, who's jumped up to 14th. There we are, Cipollini, the big powerful man himself, the Lion King, having a chat to Bartoli. Well, gentlemen, it'll all be down. The shouting will stop shortly. As a quick look then at Piccoli in the Ciclamino jersey. That's one for the man on the points competition. Just having a look at this little lot. They really are motoring at the moment. There's Sulla in the pink. He's got Marcel Wust, one of his teammates, who's a pretty good sprinter, and you can spot the numbers down there as well as I can do. And so for the Festina ride, in fact, Wust is 77, and Wust's job will be to try and muck up the sprints, by the way. If he can get in there and take the odd few seconds, he will be very much thanked by Alex Zuller. So the job that Wust got to try and do is stop Cipollini and Bartoli from taking the time bonuses. But Wust is one of the most successful sprinters. He does it in most of the what I call the lesser tours, the tours which, although he does it in the Tour of Spain, but he very often in the sort of 5 to 10 day tours. Wust is a very good Roman sprinter there and picks up a lot of his successes that way, whereas he comes up against Cipollini and Bartoli. I think he might have his work cut out today, but he'll do what he can to stop them picking up some few seconds off Zuller, because Zuller's job will just be to ride him with the pack and let his other people try and make sure the bonuses don't go to the people who are the biggest threat to him overall, and that is yet to come. The big sprint into Giro. Don't go away as we take a short break. Let's see where we are. Yes, down as far as what, 47 seconds, 50 seconds. In fact, there's a minute covers the top 144 riders. So a lot of people here very closely packed. 144 riders now closely packed together. And the situation could change quite dramatically when you've got that many close together. And in fact, within 30 seconds of the leader's jersey, we have 46 riders within 30 seconds of Alex Zuller. Well, the whole situation's changed now, and it looks like these lads are going to try and destroy everybody else's chances of getting the bonuses. No, you're going a bit too quick. Go back a notch. Really suddenly come thundering through to the front here. Well, not front, but back by 3. Well, Guidi leads on the Inter-Giro competition. No, well, this is his blue jersey you see there at the moment. Baronti of the Cantino Tolo is second, and the Brescia, well, Piccolo from Brescia is lying third on the competition, and that's not him though. He's 43 in number. There he is. So now there's a little competition coming up now at the Inter-Giro, and they really are starting to motor along here. And will Bartoli suddenly pop up there, because we're having this competition within a competition? I mentioned to you earlier on, it's quite complicated that they have this Inter-Giro where they're going to take a time check here, and the blue jersey leading at the moment. Cantino Tolo starts to take over now as well. Who's going to get this one then? Overall, the bonuses are 6, 4 and 2 in the overall competition, but the bonuses are a lot higher for the Inter-Giro. In time scale, something like about 30 seconds, but that doesn't come off the overall classification, it only comes off the Inter-Giro as such. Well, I shouldn't say as such, because Doug Souls will tell me off. Here we go. And Sudin, losing the picture now. Piccoli then in the Ciclamino jersey is losing power. Well, I wait for a confirmation on that one, because it might have gone to the Riso Scotti rider, but I'm sorry about the picture being so bad, but Scambarelli looked like he probably got that one, but I wait for confirmation. It should be passed through us before very long, and that was the Inter-Giro. Well, I'm sorry about the pictures being so bad, but possibly, watch this space. I think it might have gone then to the rider Scambarelli from the Brescia Liquidas team, but I wouldn't be certain about that one. So all the work that the ASIC CJ riders did, it didn't seem to work out. 23 kilometres to go, as you can see there on your screen. Now the smartest bald-head in the business, Pantani, who said he's quite satisfied yesterday with his time trial performance on the opening Saturday, and he's riding an unusual bicycle, not this one, but the one that he rode in the time trial. We'll have a chance of seeing it later on. It's very strange set of handlebars. The lower handlebars are attached to the front forks, and he's got a top set of triathlon bars which are welded to the top of the column. Most unusual looking machine Bianchi's turned out for him, and they were concerned also that the saddle was too far pitched forward in line over the bottom bracket, because you have to have a certain distance from your saddle back from the bottom bracket, and they had to measure it up and settle it out, because it's always an arbitrary thing though, these measurements between the big blokes and small blokes, because I'm 6'4" and shrinking fast, therefore my saddle, the peak of my saddle is always further back behind the bottom bracket than somebody who's 5'4", because you sit in different positions. Your body length's different. I mean, they have short body lengths, short arms and short stem and short top tube, and they're inclined to sit maybe further over the bottom bracket, whereas I always sat further back. So I think with poor old Pantani, they could quite reasonably argue that his need to pull his saddle forward, nothing to do with trying to cheat, it's just that he's a smaller bloke than most of us. But that, of course, is up to the officials and not up to me to comment upon. Well, there we are. Beautiful sunshine, beautiful racing, and the finish is yet to come. Live on Eurosport. Stay with us. Back with the race then, and the big action to come when they go down the finishing straight into Impero, where the big crowd is waiting to see if Bartoli can get closer to the pink jersey of Alex Zülle. Certainly didn't get, according to my position, any of the particular time bonuses at the Inter-Giro, 6, 4 and 2, but we'll wait for confirmation of that one. I think it was number 42 that got there, Scambarelli, the Brescia Liquidas team, who took the King of the Mountains jersey in the 4 days of Dunkirk just 10 days or so ago, and finished second in the last stage but one to Colombo, so we'll have to wait for confirmation of that. But the ASICS team didn't seem to me to get Bartoli into a very good sprint position. If you just joined the programme, the reason I'm interested in what Bartoli will do here for the ASICS CJ team is he started this morning 12 seconds down on Alex Zülle. We have a special sprint at the end of it all, and they get time bonuses of 12 seconds for first, 8 seconds for second, and 4 seconds for third spot. And Zülle won't compete in those sprints because, unlike Laurent Jalabert, for instance, if he got a leader's jersey, he'd be in there having a go because he's quite a good sprinter. But Zulle's idea is to stay out of trouble. If he loses a few seconds now, he can easily get them back in the time trials. So why bust to go the challenge for Michel Bartoli? And I'll have to go back to, in fact, no, certainly Zulle's time was better than Bartoli's in the time trial. He won't lose it even if they're equal, because Zulle's time was the best in the prologue time. That's what you have to do. See, if the two chaps are equal on seconds, you go back to the prologue time trial. In that case, I'm pretty certain that Zülle will keep the jersey. We've got 19 kilometres to go, and that's, of course, Bartoli et al. Managed to open up a gap of maybe 2 or 3 seconds on Zülle towards the end. So they've got a lot of work to do, these ASICS CJ riders. Now, they've been chasing ever since they came over the top of the climb. 100 kilometres into the race. In the last 60 k's they've been blasting away on the front. They might be a bit tired and therefore not able to do the coup de grace, which is a French word for don't go in the grass, it's wet, and the man might tell you off for taking your dog there. But the ASICS team, I think, are doing a great job here, but they probably won't be able to break the stranglehold of Festina, who now see mobbing round the pink jersey of Alex Zülle, like lots of little sort of worker bees, aren't they, round the mother bee, all working away here. So we've got that little situation which Bartoli will try and take advantage of, whereas Mr. Cipollini still struggling with that bronchitis. You may remember in the Tour Romandie, he was struggling with bronchitis and survived, and then finally climbed off his bike, coughing and spluttering, and that was that. So he's not really in with a shout for the sprint so far. He's going to try and keep himself, I think, a little bit until later on in the Tour. We've been very near to Cipollini's house, by the way. I don't know if he's going to invite people around for tea, but that was yesterday. We went past Monte Carlo. Remember, I was saying we were speaking to Jerry Burgess here of GB Brakes Frame. Well, in Monte Carlo also lives, amongst all the Formula One race drivers, and the now retired Tony Rominger. Also in Monte Carlo lives Cipollini. He lives there, so if he wants his chest rubbed, he can always nip home, I suppose, tonight. Gotti lives in Monte Carlo. Bartoli, there you are. Colombo, Minali, Rebellin. And not racing today, but Merckx, Lutzenberger and Toschnig all live in Monte Carlo. So lots of the cyclists go down, and for several reasons. First of all, the tax situation is to your advantage. Secondly, the weather is pretty good all the way through the year. God, it gets a bit chilly sometimes during the winter, but you can train fairly well all year round. There's a very good flight service to it now to Nice, and you can travel all over Europe from there. And there's the added advantage of the sea, I suppose, just to wish to look out of your accommodation and see the beautiful scenery round about you. So not only is it tax efficient, as far as cycling is concerned too, living in Monte Carlo, wherever you go, you've got to go up a mountain and out into the lovely lands behind there. So it isn't just all flat by any means. You take the little back roads and off you go, and you can have your own little... In fact, they could easily form a team Monte Carlo. What a team that would be, with Cipollini, Gotti, Bartoli, Colombo, Minali, Rebellin, Merckx, Lutzenberger and Toschnig. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus there's some more there as well. So you can probably form a team. Perhaps sponsored by the casino, I suppose. Well, there is a casino team, but that's the supermarket group, who, by the way, as he mentioned in the earlier programme, will repeat it for those who joined later on, having just finished mowing the lawn or something. The casino squad have now scored their 39th victory of the season. Yes, they did very well over the weekend, and they've now got themselves 39 victories, and they did it in the over the weekend in the Tour de l'Oise. The Tour de l'Oise, when the 36th victory was Aus, who won the stage on Saturday, just ahead of Kursipu's second, and Backstead was in third spot. By the time I went to Sunday, Vinokurov, winner of the Ford of Dunkirk, he got a victory there, so they gave him the 37th victory, just ahead of Gabriel, and in third spot Frankie Andro of the US Postal Team. By the time they got to the afternoon on Sunday, when they had another little race, Bath of Casino got that one, knocking up their 38th victory ahead of Moncassin and Morel. And the final overall classification was Vinokurov who got that one ahead of Aus of Casino, and Gabriel was third. So that gave them, with Vinokurov taking the overall Tour de Loire, their 39th victory of the season. There, back down to Zuller. Oh, didn't want that. Hey, look, he's got a pink crash hat too. Isn't that smart, eh? Mario Cipollini always used to turn up with pink trousers if he's going to ride in the Tour of Italy to try and take the victory. And of course, we've seen him in the Tour of France with yellow racing jersey, yellow shorts, and also green ones in case he got the points jersey and so on. And even on that occasion, to celebrate the fact he's riding an American bicycle, he had a set of stars and stripes on his shorts too. But Zoller going in a rather more decorous way to having his crash hat painted pink. When I say painted, they must do it in a special way, because you can't go... A warning to all you cyclists out there, if you go putting stickers onto crash hats and using paint that's not the right sort of paint, all these are highly decorative, these hats, you must always check, if you're going to do it, that you're using the right materials, because you can in some way ruin the quality of the crash hat, because starting to putting paint or anything onto the hat, it'll somehow erode it. Hello, good afternoon. Buongiorno. Come state? Bene? Ah, molto bene. That's as far as it goes after my sojourn in Trieste in the army a few years ago, playing basketball for the Italian team, and now then back with the race. And Mr. Pantani in the midst of that lot for the Mercatone won't be worried about the sprint, but his teammates started to wind this one up because they'd all like to win on the doorstep down here. That's Konishev going through. He was hanging about in the Tour of Romandy doing next to nothing, and you see why now, because he's starting the roll and trying to get himself a stage victory. Sometimes you see these chaps and think, well, why aren't they going hard? The reason is they've got interest in other events. Quick back over the weekend, the ladies, I'd like to let you know the Tour de l'Aude Feminin has been won by Luperini overall from Polkhanova of Russia, and Catherine Marcel of France was in third spot. So what happened to Yvonne McGregor in the end? She had a third or fourth quite early on, but don't know what happened to her there. But Pantani just trying to keep out of trouble. That's a rundown on the team for you. Konishev, probably the quickest they've got there. Roberto Conti also very sharp when it comes to going for the line, but Pantani looking for the overall classification, not for a stage victory today. Going back to the weekend results, excuse me, that Laurent Jalabert won the Tour of Asturias. I got the two mixed up, the Loires and Asturias. He won that one. As another quick look at Konishev. And slow-mo, the man in action. Come on, it's your turn. Your turn, the barrel. On the fifth stage, Jimenez won that one, and on the sixth stage, Laurent Jalabert got that one, and he won the thing overall as well. So Jalabert beat Jimenez overall, with Blanco back in third spot for the Tour of Asturias. It took Laurent Jalabert a long time to get his 100th victory. He was hanging about on 99 and always getting second and second and second. Suddenly he's gone through 100, and now he's got himself up to 102 very quickly. So I know a lot of Jalabert fans in Great Britain will interest to know that the man is now scoring again. It's a bit like a cricket game, isn't it? You get a chap out there, he's on 90 something, and suddenly as if his eye and his bat freezes and he can't knock the cut off the ball at all, and takes a long time to get the vital runs to go past his century. And once he's got past his century, he's whacking the ball all over the pitch. Well, the same thing happened with Laurent Jalabert. He struggled for a long time to get from 99 to 100 victories. Now he's done it, and he's batted them all over the place and got another couple over the weekend. There, Zuller. That's interesting. Zuller's gone back up on the wheels, and I'm looking to see what's happened to the rest of his Festina squad. They seem a bit thin on the ground at the moment. This chap you just see on his screen, he isn't deaf, he's got like a hearing aid in his ear. This is the instructions that come up to the riders from the team manager, and obviously they've told them to get stuck in. The Bianchi team, talk about the website as well. If you get www.bianchi, bianchi.it, you'll get the Bianchi website as well. So many of these teams have got their own websites now. Psycho Cannondale have also got a website, which you can find. I presume it's www.psycho.can, but I haven't got the bit of paper in front of me at the moment. But certainly many of the teams begin to get their own websites. And Rolf Jarman, I think, has got his own website where each day after the race he writes up a story about the race, and you can go there. So you can spend all the evening, catch up on the back chat of the cycle racing if you're a computer buff. So Konashev lying in second spot. There's Pantani. Looks like he's got a bike. I'm going to have a check of that later on with a sloping top tube, rather like LR Giant style. And it's not a bad thing to do sometimes with the bike's very small heads, because the ones with very small head sets, you've got a lot of battering, and the head fittings, although they don't rattle loose with these newer headset types of stems, the actual ball bearings with a very small stem, they can be battered very easily because of the leverage you get. Hello, looks like we've got a puncture here. Who's got a puncture at the moment? And it's more trouble then. Well, quick, they won't take long for the car to come up, but of course it depends where you are in pecking order on the overall classification, because the cars are graduated depending on your ride. Like the Festina car will be the first one behind, and imagine if you're the back markers, your team car is even further back, and by the time you get your self-service, you could be in trouble. What they do, preferably, if you feel your tyre begin to soften, you do what that rider did. You put your arm up and you drift back, and the first vehicle behind the race is the chief commissaire, and also there'll be the radio tour car there. And either from the commissaire's car or the radio tour car that's usually travelling together, they will radio back and call out the name of the team, and they'll say service front wheel or service back wheel, and so the team car then will hear the message and start to come up. So what you can do, of course, if you've only got a slow puncture, your team car will come rushing up, so by the time you get off your bike, it can be just behind the tail of the field. But you have to be quick to get back on board. And we're going for a short break. Keep your fingers crossed. 10 kilometres to go, in fact 10.85. They quickly changed the caption. The lonely figure, which we've been watching whilst you've been watching the break, of Matteo Cipollini trying to get back into this group because it was he who punctured, and here he is now on your screen. He's had to change his front wheel and get back in the pack all on his own. Their team haven't gone back to collect him, which either he'll be rather annoyed about, or alternatively just shows that they don't think much of his chances of winning the stage today because of his bronchitis and troubles that have affected him so far. So Cipollini really marooned there at the moment. I'd have thought they ought to at least send one bike rider back, so no doubt maybe a few words said later on, because they really are motoring. And look at Cipollini now, he's full of determination. I have a great admiration for this character. I know that people say, oh, he's a showman and he poses, but he's a bloody good bike. He's a very good bike rider, and he's showing complete determination. He could have sulked, by the way, and just swanned along at the back of the crowd and said, blow you, you're not helping me, and I'll just take an easy day today and try and get my stage victory tomorrow. Because overall general classification isn't... Oops, another handoff from the car. The commissaires went, watch, look as he comes through. Let's see if he goes again. Watch. No, missed it. Now, since they've stopped having proper door handles on cars, it's not easy to hang on to, I think, except the wing mirrors provide useful support, don't they, as we just noticed. So ably demonstrated by the Lion King himself. Wing mirrors come in handy sometimes, rather than looking backwards. Oh, look, they've sent a man back. Good. So he'll be on his Christmas card list now. Yeah, the commissaire, that's a fellow in the blue shirt looking over the top to make sure nothing illegal's gone on. We won't tell, will we? There he is. Well, this is it then, just some 5 miles to go into the town of Imperia. Actually, it's two towns. Oops, she's got problems too. Another one, again, going back slowly. Yes, two towns, by the Porto Maurizio at a place called Oneglia. And Mussolini was a character who knocked the two lots together because he wanted to make a nice provincial capital, which they then called Imperia. And that's where they're going now, the imperial man himself finding his way through. That's quite fascinating. He's prepared to go through and try and get himself in with a shout for the sprint after doing the work to get in again. And there he is, and he'll be safe. Thank you very much indeed, because that's Matteo Schirea who went back to collect him. Just a quick look at number 91 as he drifted through there, and that was Pavel Tonkov, the winner of this tour 2 years ago and second last year. He won't contest the sprint either. And Silmo Cotonou driving along the front as they come along some beautiful part of the world. Albenga, well, we don't know now. We haven't got confirmation of that sprint we had. They came down out of Albenga into Alessio. By the way, in Albenga they grow asparagus in the old riverbed because the river's sort of moved a bit out in the silting up that's come on, and it must be time surely for the asparagus in Evesham Valley to happen. I must phone up my good friend Paul Moran and find out if the asparagus is growing in Evesham. Well, no time for that. All now systems go as the riders here set in to try and get the victory today. Will it be one like we had yesterday when Piccoli caught everybody napping and zoomed away on one side of the road when the rest were watching each other? The good thing to do if you're not a sprinter is to let the sprinters watch each other, and if you've got a chance, nip off and take a different direction. That may still be the happenings this time. Running in towards the finish, the road with 1 kilometre to go as it goes across the river in toward the finish. Then at Tenaro, as it goes across that one, they turn a bit of a left-hander, and then suddenly there's inside the last 500 metres, I won't call it a chicane, but it sort of zigzags a bit. Just a bit of a kink in the last kilometre over the river. Sorry, the river Torrento Impero. So, now then, Mappe taking up the chase here because they want Mr. Spruck, number 99, to have a bit of a go at this one. Can we spot him? No, we can't. Because Zbigniew Spruck, the Polish rider, useful sprinter, and Pantani staying out of trouble, drifting through here too. Yep, with that sloping top on his bike, as I mentioned earlier on, and still the Mercaton Uno team driving hard at the front of this one. And this is interesting that Marco Pantani is prepared to go up the front. I suppose he wants to keep out of trouble, can't afford a crash. Then again, what he's also doing, having been on antibiotics for about 10 days now, that he's trying, I think, to knock the rough off. Looking quickly at the profile, says he, if Dan will find it, that we've got a day tomorrow when it isn't too bad. But, here we go. Now suddenly off goes the man himself, Bertini, who's tried this before, and Bertini's trying to split this lot. Then Capoberto, well, he's trying to get some points to the Kingdom Hounders competition. This is the one we've been over in the Milan-San Remo. No wonder Pantani is going to the front. Look who he's towing up, though. He's towing up Bartoli of the ASICS team. Bartoli's getting a tow. Bettini looks back to see that Pantani's romping up this climb. That's what Pantani wanted. A bit of a chance to blow the rough off on the climb. Short, sharp one it is. Just 130 metres above sea level, but they've come up from only 4 metres above sea level. And Pantani's gone roaring away, and so has Bartoli. Starting to open this one up. And once he goes over the top, there's only some, 5 kilometres in towards the finish. Can he get over the top and stay away from the group, and can Pantani go with him? This will be a big turn up for the books, because this morning as they started out then, Bartoli only 12 seconds down on Zulla. 1 kilometre to go over the top of the climb, and then 5 down the finish. This must mean that Zulla's got to respond to try and close that gap down. He can't allow Bartoli that much leniency at all, and still powering away here. The rest of the field trying to claw them back, and have they gone too soon? Have they gone too soon? That's Frigio going up now. He's a pretty good chap. He's got 1 or 2 successes so far this year. Look, Zulla's marked this one. He can recognise, just riding at his own pace though, in the pink there, just grinding up here. Marco Vella, Mercaton also keeping on. Zulla just behind him. And Bartoli starts to go again. This is the old 1-2, but Zulla's marked him out. Zulla's moved nice under Bartoli's wheel. Bartoli recognised, because over the top, but certainly Zulla can follow a man over the top. That was suddenly a moment of worry. There is the Trident somewhere, which will see the devil, not incarnate, the German devil himself. No, just saw his sign on the side of the road, and the splits are coming. And see, Cipollini's lost him. After that chasing to get back, it was just too much to think he'd be able to stay on board, but he's blown it. Zaina's gone up the front at the moment for the Brescia team, but he finished 4th in this race about 3 years ago. Zaina looking good too, and Zulla looking good, nice and comfy. He's without his teammates, by the way, so he's a bit exposed, but I think he's capable of holding his own with... Exposed and holding his own. Oh God, another cartoon in cycling. There are 5 kilometres to go, and the work's been done by Marco Velo, and Cipollini now struggling. Not surprising, that's the chasing he had to do to get back. And there he is. Enrico Zaina, and Zulla's gone away on the far side. Well, this is cheeky stuff, isn't it? How cheeky can you get? And suddenly Bartoli recognised that Zulla's going to put two fingers up and go away from them. Well, Rominger said to, as he goes past the Adidas sign and takes the points to the King of the Mountains, Zulla, it's so effortless at the moment that he's really showing them who's boss. This is a tremendous performance by Zulla. A bit like we saw Duffield do in the Tour Romandie just the other week when he was in the leader's jersey. He started really to say, well, you know, if you want to race, I'll show you how to race. And look at this, just sitting back here. OK, chaps, come on. Good move by Zulla. I think that's a nice move which says, look, if you want to get this, you've got to get it in the sprint. You won't get it on the road. Ah, superb. Information then about Zulla, 1m86, and his heartbeat from his resting is about 40. Capacity of his lungs is 6 litres. He can push out 440 watts. He was born on the 6th, sorry, he's been a professional since the 6th of September 1991. He was born in a place called Ville in Switzerland on the 5th of July 1968. There he is, in the pink. Good move, brilliant. Interesting, you see that something like Zulla, he's had what, some 50 victories since he started racing. And when you get to Gotti, for instance, who is the man who won the Tour of Italy last year, he's only had some 3 victories since he turned pro, because one of them was the Tour of Italy. But Zulla's been there, winning lots of things all his time. One of the few riders currently racing, in fact probably the only rider currently racing, who's worn the Tour of Italy jersey, the Tour de France jersey and the leader's jersey in the Tour of Spain, and he certainly showed then that he's going to be a force to reckon with, Zulla, and come whipping down this descent now, and then into Imperia, very, very fast, 5 kilometres from the top. Good move by Zulla. Well, they've jettisoned Cipollini, so Savoldelli riding on his own there and coming across there. That's a good move there by Gabriel Colombo, because he's not far off the pace on the overall classification either, Gabriel Colombo. Can he get up there and stay away at the moment? And then Camazin starting to go. Oscar Camazin. But there's a lot of fast men in there. The speed at which they're coming down here, it'll flatten out as they come in that final kilometre, and then the sprinters who'll be able to climb up that short, sharp Capoperta will be hoping to move into good spots. And there's a long one coming left-hand side, but he's been spotted very quickly indeed. Close it out. Well, yet again, who's going to get this one? Piccoli trying to get himself another victory. Got his mate to lead him out at the moment, third back in line. Who's coming up fast from behind? This way could change. It could be Colombo going for this one. Starting to go on the left-hand side. The Balanrado rides away up the front here, trying to get clear of them. And it is, in fact, Gabriel Colombo, the man I thought was going, and he's just moved for it too. As Begniev Struck is just lying back there, hoping for a victory. But on the far side, who's going to get this one? Have they slipped away from them? They're still waiting. They go round and round and in, twisting and bending, and then straight down inside the last 500 metres. A good straight finish. But they're coming up absolutely flat out at the moment. Bartoli is nicely closed, about, 5th back from the front. Bartoli still staying in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, he's losing out. On the left-hand side, his screen starts to wind it up then, on this slight increase then, and trying to get this one. Bartoli's trying to hammer for the one as he goes across the line. Whoops, no, it's on the right-hand side, it went, I think, to Ado. Well, look at the lads from the Calme Costa Blanca Eurosport team. They're absolutely going bananas. Well, where did he come from? And I'm going to take a long shot at that and say it was Ada, because yesterday I saw Martin going for it earlier on, and then Ada popped in to get himself a good, fourth spot yesterday. And let's look again as they start to wind it. Somebody really launched off there on the left-hand side, and here we go. But then they started to snake, switching across to the right. We had two races actually, one on the right-hand side of the screen, one on the left-hand side of the screen. I was more interested to see what's going to happen with Bartoli and Zbigniew Spruk down there. To see on the right-hand side, he was actually staying away. I thought he was dying 1,000 deaths, but this is a, it's like Wimbledon. My eyes are going left to right, left to right, left to right, and it's going to get it. It goes to, yes. Well, that was it. Caught us all napping. Look on the wrong side here, and the green and white jerseys of the Calme team absolutely overjoyed with that one. And you can see them sucking in the breath and getting themselves sorted out there. In fact, Angel Edo it was who finished fourth yesterday. Well, the Spanish are not best known for sprinting. They've been lacking good sprinting for some years now. But Edo's been coming up steadily, slowly, bit by bit, slowly, catchy monkey. And this time he's got himself the victory in the Giro in fine form. Look at this. And now they switched the camera across, you see, so we can pick this one up, because we were trying to look left to right. Now they've done it again, you see, on the slow-mo. But that on the far side was the one I was interested in, but he might have got second place, Bartoli, and he will get himself 8 seconds bonus for that, because Ada would have taken the 12 seconds. Yes, they're certainly saying he's the victor, and so with 8 seconds bonus for Bartoli, that will move him up into third spot behind Gonchar. So still Zuller ahead of Gonchar, and then Bartoli on the overall position at the moment. I don't think that if he got the 12 seconds, he wouldn't have taken the lead anyway, Bartoli, but he would have narrowed it down. So you got the usual thing, once you've finished, you get the microphone stuffed up your nose. Hey, that's good, isn't it? We might have a few sherbets tonight. That is also sponsored by Eurosport. There he's winding up. Let's see where he goes left. Now Bartoli came 1, 2, 3, 4 back from the front, 5th back from, goes right. Now goes right here. See, look, he flicks off the wheel. He's on his own. So is Ado. It's a man-to-man sprint. Because our camera showed the picture head on, and let's see what the difference was in the end then. As Ado powered around the left-hand side. I think that was the shortest way to go. Very good move on his part. But Bartoli was going faster towards the end, burying himself on the right-hand side. Piccoli was going into second spot at that stage, and he might, subjection down there from Gonchar, I think. No, sorry, Colombo. No, I would suggest that in fact Bartoli was third, although Colombo might claim that he was third. And I don't think he was that much impeded by, look, he's up on the right-hand side here, and Ado is going fairly straight. Is he going to be impeded? Oh, just when they turn the cameras back. So Bartoli could be in back third spot then. What you always get at the stage victory is not only a bouquet of flowers, with a bit of bad luck you collect a photographer as well. They actually draw lines on the finishing straight to make sure that you don't run into. But there are Ado the victor today. Certain sections of the media, I don't know why, perhaps it's something I said, there you are, but I'll do what I can for you. I'll give you the address of Laurent Jalabert. There they go. And now then, they're going on this second lap, and they've got some 39.6 kilometres. Isn't this a lovely shot? Yes, I'll shut up. There's the bell. And this time we have the running clock back to the main pack here, through the heat haze, sucking in the white hot air. That's great. This is only day 3. All these chaps are going to be for the best part of 3 weeks. Riding uphill, down Dale, in the heat. We might even get, well, sometimes we get the snow up in the Dolomites too. These are some of the best pictures I've seen on cycle racing in an awful long time. You can flavour the atmosphere, can't you? The gap then just down to about a minute between our 2 breakaway riders, Vatteroni and Baronti. And now they're struggling to stay away from the main pack on these final 39 kilometres. There's going to be no doubt about it, in my mind. They'll get themselves caught at some point, but I think the chasers will bide their time before they come and catch them, because of the once you do catch them, still the people start jumping around. But I think the two of them said enough's enough, and so we're going down through now Forte dei Marmi. We hope we have a good look at it, but it's quite an old part of the world, this one. It has been seen better times in the past. It was a very popular place for people to come down for holidays, particularly from Milan, and they've got a lovely old, it's called Forte dei Marmi, you expect. It was a lovely old fortress that the Grand Dukes of Tuscany built. We may see a little bit of that if the cameras go across off the front here. Well, I think that like a fisherman with the line out with his fish on the end, they're going to play with those two for a bit longer. And whilst they do so, we're going to take a short break. Come back to us and let's see if they snaffle up. Welcome back to our special camera on handlebars of Armin Meyer of the Festina team, just showing you how they're working here. He's just sitting in the string behind some of the teams that have been working hard to pull back our 2 breakaway riders, Vatteroni and Baronti. They're down to around about a minute now lead over this big group of riders. In fact, suddenly come down to 36 seconds. So they're likely to give up, I think, any moment now and get absorbed as they go along this parallel road to the seafront. The sea's over on the right-hand side. We're going down along the coast now from the finishing area of Forte dei Marmi towards the turn. They're going to get to the town just down the road here called Viareggio. And when they get down there, they'll turn left and go back round the square and come back up on the road, which runs to the left-hand side, fairly parallel to this one. And it's pretty flat, so the sprinter specialists will be looking for a chance, I think, to flex their muscles further on into the day, with now around about 35 kilometres to go. So of the 196 kilometres we've covered so far today, we've now gone through around about 160 of those.
Isostar, the fast-acting isotonic sports.
The main field coming through this town of Viareggio, and then they're going to curl back out onto the road that runs parallel to the seafront, taking them back into Forte dei Marmi, where they'll have the finish at the end of this stage. The big lap they're on, coming some 40 kilometres in all. The bunches you can see now all together. Our 2 early breakaways of Vatteroni and Baronti have now been absorbed by this big group. They're on the way around this very flat finishing circuit for the second time to come through the finishing line. Let's see who's going to get the sprint. You can see already moving up there, talking about the sprinters. I was also going to mention Serrada for the Mappe team. Well, he could be in with a shout today as well. Sorry, Spruck for the Mappe team. Serrada also rides on, but he's not here today. It's Spruck, number 99, who was their top sprinter, I suppose. The TVM Farm Freaks team in the yellow colours. And that's the ASICS CJ team. I mentioned earlier on that we've got to watch out there to see how they perform today. And these are the colours, Ben, of them. There's Yanni Bunya winding up. What a crafty man. He's the boss, by the way. This is the fellow who reads the riot act. He's trying to set it up to make sure that his teammate Spruck gets in with the shout. And look, he's going along. He's already telling them what to do. Oh, you don't say boo to Bunya, because he's won stages in all the major races in his time. He's of course been twice world champion. I'm glad he's made it into this what could be, I suppose, his final Tour of Italy. We never know with with him, because Gianni Bugno is a great all-rounder, and he is tremendous with his knowledge of cycle racing. That's what you get in these teams when you've got 9 men out on the road here, as we've got in the Tour of Italy, for each of the teams taking part in this race. So there's 9-man teams in 18 teams, 162 riders, around 161 now at the moment, and in the teams you often want somebody in there who's got the experience to just take it easy, lads, this is okay, I know this part here, by the way, there's a sharp bend down the road, so watch yourselves. And people like Gianni Bugno are an absolute gift. And then when you get back to hotels, the whole palaver that goes on, they can be a great steady influence to the people with nerves, and particularly people riding their first Tour of Italy. Gianni Bugno, you saw him there coming along, having a few words, pointing things out, and when the boss says so, but he takes note of what's going on. Cantina Colorado sliding off the front. This is going to just be one of those desperation moves, hoping that everybody will sit up and breathe and let him get away with it. But Pierre Domenico won't get far with that, I don't think. He's just away there. We're around about, what, some getting to 8 kilometres to go, about 5 miles left in this race. Now this is a decision time. You sat back in there, you feel you've got something left in your legs, you've got to start working your way through, but you've got to just judge it perfectly. All these chaps at the back here, the domestiques, who don't have a catch chance in hell when it comes to the sprint, being picked up by Armin Maher on his little camera on his bicycle. I mean, the riders back here are just going to coasting quite happily. Their job will be in the mountains to keep the field together. They'll be fetching and carrying for their team leaders, and they just want to keep out of trouble when the sprint comes. So the fellows on the front now are the domestiques whose job it is to keep the pace high so the sprinters can come up behind them, and you'll get 2 or 3 riders leading out the sprinter, and there are certain riders who don't have much help like that. I mentioned early on that with the Kelme team, they don't have any great lead-out riders, and so I think Martin and Ado are about the only 2 who can stand the pace towards the end. When they're whizzing along here, they'll be on maybe the 53 by 11. They'll be on the big sprocket on the outside. So you see, the Kelme, only 1 green trousers down there. 4 kilometres, gosh, it doesn't time glow when you're having fun. Down the bottom left-hand corner, you can see that the green pants of either Ado or Martin, there's probably Ado this time, just having to follow on his own. And what they will do, they'll pick out who they think has got him to be in with a shout and try and follow the sprinters being led out by somebody else and hope to come past him too. And whoever hopeful riders that haven't got a catch chance in hell going for the sprint are now going off the front. I think that's Adriano, who's gone down the road with 4Ks to go. The typical tactics of somebody who's a pursuiter style of rider that feels that he can get away and hold the speed, and once he gets maybe about 200 metres between him and the main field, they just sit up and wait for second place. So he said, that's it, off I go. But the trouble is, you've got to be absolutely able for 4 kilometres to ride on the rivet. What is a rivet, you might ask? Well, in the old days when they had leather saddles, they had rivets on them. There were a lot of rivets across the back. There's great big brass rivets in the old Brooks saddles. In fact, I've got one, a pro saddle with great big brass rivets across the back of the cantle plate. That's the back plate. And up the front, there were just 3 other rivets holding the leather of the saddle onto the main underframe. And so when you're on the rivet, you're right on the peak of the saddle, and that's exactly what he's on now. And Adriano it was. Well spotted. Do I get a day off tomorrow? It's my birthday anyway. And thanks to Mike Smart for the card. I'll talk about it tomorrow. Here we go. Adriano. This is the brinkmanship, you see, because you'll notice these 1 and 2 riders aren't being chased down by the Psycho team, aren't Borleris, Scotty, all the lads for Bartoli. They're just hanging on, the ASICS CJ boys, and then they're letting the odd Mercadono fellow drift away. Now the Psychos begin to move. The red shirts begin to come on now, so Psycho Cannondale lads are beginning to soak up the fire. They recognise that these one-offs have probably now blown up, so they might as well get the thing back together again. Nope, it's not going to be your J either. So Marco Velo went away hopefully. Vitalis Segeras trying to set this one up then, probably for Ferrigato. Can Ferrigato get this one? He's got a good turn of speed. And yet again, another hopeful goes, and it's back to the drawing board for the rest of the boys. As off they go now. And Skriniar as ever, this is typical Skriniar tactic. I've said it before, this is exactly what they try and do then as Vladimir Djuma. Oh, that's damn, that's the usual troubles we get. Touch of wheels and down they go. and they're all over the place. Oh, that is the problem of the bike racing, and you can just see that he's in trouble too, really hurt by that one. And Zucchi of the Amora Vita Ferranzi team fetched down then, just a touch of wheels, so easy. We've been getting the camera shots of what it's like, and here they come now, the long shot back down, telephoto lens, picking out through the haze, the gallop now, the survivors of that crash then still in there with the Psycho team. Amora Vita lost their man who's gone out of it, so yet again Polte trying to wind. Piccoli on the right hand side, looks like he's gone too soon, and still then for the team Polte could be a victory for them as Baldato gets on the wheel too, and Ado and Martin for Calme team are starting to wind this one up. There's bunches all over the place. Well, the Calme riders on the left-hand side look like they've blown it. And this is going to be absolute precision sprinting. Who's going to get this one? I haven't got a clue either yet. Come on, lads, give it some welly. Whoa! Whoa! Well, that... I shall have to wait to see which one that one. I think he went for Riso Scotti on the line, and we'll just wait. Yes, he was. Go on the line, and with his fists in the air there for Minali from the Riso Scotti team. I don't know if it was Minali or Baldato, but certainly was Minali that threw his arms up as the Riso Scotti got the stage victory they worked so hard for. Minali then taking that one. Well, I think, though, I'm going to say they deserved, any of those sprinters deserved that one. Minali having got his stage success, and Minali, was it, yes, in Portsmouth on the Tour of France when it came to Great Britain. I think he was the fellow that took the stage into Portsmouth for the sprint finish, but this one really was fast and furious. Watch it again. All the way through from the front, Minali coming here. Well, the poor Calme lads on the left-hand side really blew a gasket. They've gone straight from front to back. And Minali hits it. Yep. Down the left-hand side, Bartoli was really distanced, wasn't he? He wasn't in with a shout at all for the 12 seconds bonus. And Minali pounding away here. Did you see the look on the face of those riders when they came through? If they show that shot again, those of nervous disposition are advised to look away. God dear me. That just shows you the pain, the effort, the power that goes into it. One or two riders blown too soon, start to go backwards. Minali choosing just the right time to come through the ruck. No sign of the Lion King, not roaring very well today. Blylev on the left-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 back from the front, benefiting from his teamwork, but hadn't really got enough left in his legs to go to it. And so Minali it was that powered his way through, but only just. He just got it ahead of the Cantina Toller rider, who came up to him rather quickly at the end, and then just got it on the line, didn't he? That's nice, isn't it? You've got a team coming into sponsorship for the first year, the Riso Scotti team. We've also got Gavis on the shoulders, you may notice that there. Gavis, having been in the sport for many years, with Gavis Baran, Gavis on its own, are still staying in the sport. The electrical switchgear manufacturing company, and they come in with the Riso Scotti, not as the main sponsor, but just as a co-sponsor. But for Riso Scotti, a new sponsor in the sport this year, and they've got themselves a stage victory. And look at it again, top shot here, Minali. Well through. Good. But after all the work that TVM, Psycho did, Psycho Cannondale trying hard to get it up there, but they didn't. And for Bartoli and the ASIC CJ team, no chance of taking the overall leadership off the shoulders of Zula. Look at this again. 40-odd miles an hour of sheer all-out effort. The judgment to hit the line absolutely perfectly. There on the right-hand side, that's Blyleven's trying and failing. Just didn't have it in his legs, Blyleven's today, so Minali pounding ahead. Look at the muscle. You see these sprinters, look at the size that's country in the taller fellow. Blyleven looks across here, just over the far side. And back, well, there's always tomorrow for the presentation of the victory flowers then to Minali. There we are, and I said I'm pretty certain this is the chap who got the stage victory into Portsmouth when the Tour came into Great Britain, so that's another one to add. He's a very good, useful little sprinter indeed. So Minali then getting the victory for the Riso Scotti and the champagne that goes with it as well. Well, he had 9 victories last year, Minali, and including a stage in the Tour de France, so he's adding to his score yet again. And that won't have changed the overall situation at all, though, but as we look back at the slow motion of the sprint, the pink jersey of Zula came in the main pack, and which meant that he will keep the overall jersey yet again, Alex Zula, as we roll on into tomorrow's race, and providing his teamwork as equally as hard they did do today, there should be no reason for him to lose it, providing, of course, he can stop Mr. Bartoli from winning stage. At the moment, Bartoli can't get up there and get enough leeway to take that pink jersey off, and the stage going to Minali, who is no great threat overall on general classification to the pink jersey. So that means that he's just gone for the stage victory, and a very well-deserved one too indeed. That just shows they've got 2 sprinters anyway, because Baldato from the Riso Scotti team, who we saw take the victory the other day in the Tour of Rovigo. Well, here we are. We're going on now to the Sports Centre, by the way, and Carlton Kirby, my good friend, will be your reader of the Sports Centre. Then we go to tennis, the ATP team competition, and the great team of David Mercer and Frew McMillan will be there. Looking for the doubles. I'm still the indefatigable Frew McMillan. I hope you'll stay with us then for Sports Centre and tennis coming up after this.